Hey gang, another quick one here. Uh, Hopefully a quick one. Um, so this is for my for the fathers chosen ones, uh, the ones that are called by His name in spirit and truth, the ones that have been destined from before birth, on this terrestrial plane to endure uh, with Elohim, to endure with the Creator, to endure as our Messiah did. This message is for us, for you. Um, so okay, that's where I was gonna. Okay, all right. I got several. I got a couple of messages that the Father, in my meditations, in my convos with the Creator, I got a couple messages that I got to give out today. So I guess this is the one that came out first. So here we go. So for the chosen ones, for the cold ones, for the ones that walk according to His purpose, okay, in spirit and truth. Um, you may be you may be in the beginning stages. If you are, this will relate all across the board, no matter what position you are or what stage you're in that walk, in that pattern of walk, because it's all relative, because it all falls in place, because it's the same walk. So no matter where you're at in that line, you fall under this, and you'll know if it's you. Um, so you may be in the beginning stages of realizing that, oh wow, I am the truly the Father's people. I am to walk this path that the Father's laid out for me. I am to endure uh, the Christ effect. I'm just going to word it this way. Uh, I am, in the sense of, I am called to endure what Christ endured, as He says that if they persecuted me, they will persecute you. If they did all these things to Him, they will do it to you, because you are called to walk according to His purpose. And so you may be wondering, young one, uh, you may be wondering, man, you may be in that stage of frustration right now. Man, why is it? Why is it that I've tried and tried and tried, and I try to do what the Father tells me to do, and I try to step in His purpose, and somehow I keep on getting burned, in the sense of, I keep getting the short end of the stick when it comes to individuals that I'm trying to help, or in places that the Father brings you to, uh, with good purpose, and purposes, and multiple purposes, and the reasons why the Father draws you and commands you to be in the midst of a certain group of individuals, or a certain area, or a certain job. Everything has to do with souls, with people. And and in the very and more than half the time, even when you are the blessing there, you're still learning. You're always learning, right? And it's for the sake of learning valuable lessons that you need to implement an understanding for what's coming down the line of your walk of purpose with the Father. Okay, so it's all purposeful. It's all for the sake of the purpose of of your walk. Okay, so you may be wondering, you may be right now in that stage where you're like, oh man, I try to do everything right, and I wholeheartedly, I try to do what you put in my heart to do, and play by your rules, and submit it myself to, in the midst of that understanding where you were at that moment in time, and did nothing but care for individuals, and do everything from the heart, from a good place, uh, through the spirit of revelation of the spirit. I did nothing but try to do good in the lives of the midst of the group of that you were submitted to, and now you may find yourself being an outcast, uh, and again, everything that I speak from experience, um, multiple multiple experiences, and involving the same type of lesson, but from different angles. Okay, so I'm not saying anything I haven't endured. I'm not saying anything that I haven't surpassed. And I'm not saying anything. I will be sure to let you know if this is a fresh revelation that I am currently working on. Okay, at this moment in time, these are revelations and things that I have endured with the Spirit of the Father, in this terrestrial plane. Okay, so you may be right there right now in that stage where you find yourself secluded and outcasts, uh, whether on the terrestrial level, whether it seemed like you made that decision yourself, or they themselves pushed you away. I've been on both sides of that fence. Okay, it's the same. It's the outcome is still the same. It's the fact what chances are sometimes the Father tells you your time here is done, and you don't quite know how to execute an exit, and the Spirit of the Father makes sure that He does that for you. So don't worry, one way or the other, when your time is up in that scenario, and in that stage of learning, in that place. So you may find yourself right now in that place where you have been outcasted, you have been separated from. You understand that your time there is complete. There's nothing else for you to go back to that place. It's done. It is finished. Okay, and the understanding, the wisdom that came with it, the purpose of learning of that stage in your growth, for things that come down the line in the walk that you continue to walk with the Creator. You understand that that is done, and then it will come to your attention, because the devil doesn't want to leave you alone. Of course, the enemy, the adversary, the one that comes to seek, kill, and destroy. All right, Hasatan and his minions, they come, and remember, we wrestle not against flesh and blood. We're wrestling against principalities and strongholds, okay, and high places. We're wrestling against entities in the spiritual realm that have been casted out of the presence of their Creator, of our Creator. Okay, so these people, these entities, these individuals, these spiritual entities hate us, and they will grab a host wherever they can. Okay, and remember, people perish for lack of knowledge. So the knowledge that you don't have is the knowledge that hurts you, because it gives way for the enemy to have dominion over you in certain areas of your life and utilize you as a tool of the devil. Kind of like the movie The Matrix. Anyone that hasn't been unplugged is potentially an agent. Okay, all right, whatever. Let's go back. So you're there. Okay, you're there. You know that you have been called for a higher purpose. No matter how your terrestrial situation may look, no matter how your terrestrial situation may look, you know that you know that you know in the back of you just know that the Father's doing something much different with you than everyone else that claims to be the Father's people. This is the difference between being chosen and being called. You know who you are. You know who you are. Okay? So you find yourself in this place where it's frustrating, because your flesh is still your carnal nature is still a factor all the way through. So you will learn how to gain more and more dominion over it over it as the Father continues to instruct you and continue to submit you to these lessons of comprehension. You will come to higher levels of comprehension on how to dominate your carnal being, so that it becomes less painful in all of these stages that you're presented to. But you're there in that place, and when you may be wondering, because one way or another, you know that folks are talking about you. You may be wondering why is false witness being raised against me? Why do they why do they tell these lies? Why do they speak evil upon your name? When all you did when all you did was try to do the best hearted intent according to what was revealed to you from the Father himself. All you did was try to do the best for them in the midst of that of that time frame where you were in their midst. Why do they persist to try to taint your name now that you have separated? And it frustrates you, right? It may frustrate you. It may have you in a place of like even self-pity in the very beginning of this understanding. Even self-pity, right? I've been there, like I mentioned several times. And one not too long ago. But that's okay, because it was just a reminder. So you might find yourself there, and I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you to come to that comprehension and heal, and take you to that place of understanding of what Christ meant by loving your enemies and praying for your enemies. Okay? Because it's not the flesh and blood that's your enemy, but it's the entity that embodies that flesh and blood. Okay? So this is what's going on. The reason why they think that you are a deceiver, or that you are a liar, or that you were pretending, or they don't know what to say, but all the things that they will say or are saying are negative towards positive light on your name. Everything is to bring a negative light to your name, to your reputation, to who you are. And remember that they did it to Christ. They did it to Joshua, Jahua, Jesus the Christ. They did it to him. So if they did it to him, they're going to do it to you. So the reason why that is because they themselves have been deceived and lied to by the enemy, that they do not recognize, that they do not see, that functions in the midst of them and through them. They have been lied to them themselves. So you got to come to that level of comprehension where you understand that there really isn't no difference between you and them, in the sense of we are all deserving of the same grace, because there was a point in time where you were there in a place where you thought that you held all truth from the Creator, and you weren't doing any wrong, and you were doing the will of the Father, and so on and so on. And you were, in fact, at that moment in time, could have definitely been utilized as a tool of the enemy, or as a stepping stone. It's all in how you see the cup, half full, half empty, because all things work together for good for those that love the Creator, the master of all masters, right? So that could have been, that probably was a time where you were in the same shoes that those individuals are right now, and you were in just as much deserving of grace as as when you were then as you are now. So remember, we never stop growing, and we never stop learning. So we have to come to that understanding. It's not that everyone is trying their best to do the best that they can with what they got, in their own way, in their own level of strength, mental strength, physical strength, and their own level of understanding and comprehension of this life, this terrestrial life that we experience. so intensely. Everyone's trying. Like I'm gonna go back to my friend, I want to say friend, a coworker that I worked with, that very capable guy, very upbeat, ready to like just it's just his energy, very upbeat, ready to help just for the sake of help and just for the sake of like he has it instilled in him that he is a useful individual and he wants to keep things moving, and like he just has it in him, that's just the way that he is, and 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 the Father shows me things so that I can't help to see things. I see things through a spiritual lens that a lot of people don't see, and that's part of the blessing, and the not curse, but that's part of the burden. It's the knowledge, is the knowing, and the wisdom. So I would see him, he's like he does the most, and he like now that he's in a higher precision, now that that individual is in a higher precision of leadership above the ones that he was parallel with, now he's over here between the other ones that are on top of him. He's over here in the middle. So now he's no longer the same as the ones on the ground level. And mind you, we're talking about the system of the enemy, okay? Hasatan's system. Now he's not the same. He's no longer the same caliber of slave. Now he's over here. He has gained the right to be here based upon the respect of both here and here. But he's here. So by him being here and being allowed to be here by the folks here, now he has more in common with these folks here than he does with these folks here. Okay. I hope I'm explaining this somewhat, so what happens is that he is now submitted more to the inner workings of the individuals that are up here. And mind you, we're talking about the devil system. We're talking about the systems of this world. He's more involved and is submitting more uh, his focus and his drive, because he knows nothing. He has no knowledge. He's perishing for lack of knowledge. He has good intent because we saw those fruits when he was down here. He had good intent because we saw the fruits. But now that he's here, because he has no knowledge of good and evil in that sense, now he's taking the side of those that believed him to be good and promoted him to this level. So now he's losing touch with the folks here, and he's connecting more with the folks up here, which are pure evil, in the sense of they are building in the kingdom of man, the kingdom of this world, not building in the kingdoms of the Father. Okay, so and I see this, and how do I explain that to folks? Like I see it, like the Spirit shows me, wow, look at his behavior, look at how he goes, and it's a slow turn. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a slow turn, right? And it has to be gradual, because remember, the devil's in the details. It has to be gradual. He can't just be from here and step here and immediately start acting like these folks here. It doesn't happen like that. It's a gradual change. Okay, I really hope that. I know, Father, I'm trying. So we have to understand, it's not the dude, it's inherently, it's not that he means to have bad intent. It's that in his heart of hearts, in the heart, in the center of his understanding. Remember, he's got a family, he's got kids. He has his perception of what this world is, of what life is. And in his mind, he's a hard worker because he is. He's a devoted individual because he is. He loves his family because he does. He's doing things to better the quality of living of his family and himself. And because he is, and he's doing it in a stage where he believes that it's correct. Okay, he's not selling like illegal by the standards of this world. He's not selling illegal drugs or or is committing crimes according to the perception of the laws of this world. And there's a reason why I say that. He's not doing anything that's illegal outside of the system that he has been indoctrinated to understand. You see what I mean? So we can't get mad. We can't get upset because we were once in their shoes. You understand? We were once in the shoes. The quicker you realize who you are and how your walk is different and how your purpose differs. Again, this is a very direct message for those that understand what I'm saying. If you know, you know that you know. If you are, you know that you know. You know. Okay. So we have to get to that understanding. It's like, listen, it's okay. It's okay. They ripped our Messiah's flesh from. Uh, I know. I know. I know. It's okay. It hurts. It's unfair. You didn't do anything to deserve it. I know. It's okay. Count yourself privileged. Count yourself a privileged one, that you have been granted the knowledge, the opportunity, the the wisdom to know and understand as a guide for many, many, many others to understand the suffering that our Messiah went through. Okay? Even if it is on a small scale, on a much smaller scale, even if they never rip your actual physical skin off your bones, you know, but you have to come to that conclusion, that understanding. It is not without purpose. It is not without the Father's purpose that I endure these things. Okay? So I get it, man. I get it. Whenever, wherever you receive this message, understand that you're not alone. We haven't met yet. That force hasn't came together. You know the power that lies within you. And if you don't know, you're beginning to understand the power that lies within you. You know that Yeshua could have gone off that cross and burned everything to hell. He could have. He did not. He did not, because it wasn't the Father's will. He could have called a multitude of angels to come to his aid and burn the place down. He didn't. Okay? It's okay. There's power. There's power in what's going on, what's happening to you. When the time comes, that power will be revealed. Okay? Just trust in the Father. Trust in the process, that the Spirit of the Creator, that His Spirit is taking you through. Trust in that. Trust in the Spirit, in the process that He takes you through, and learn to be patient. Endure it, man. Listen, just 3 days ago, I was all up in my flesh, and not that I was in a strip club. No, I was all up in my flesh in rage, in anger, and I can only equate, according to the texts that I have read, I can only equate what I felt 3 days ago within me as that moment where when Jesus stepped into that synagogue, into his Father's house, so to speak, the place that the religious and the folks that were in power at that time were deemed the God's house, the synagogue, and overturned those tables and whooped ass saying my Father's house is a house of prayer. Just 3 days ago, I was in my living room, and I can only, like, my in the physical form, my blood pressure was through the roof. That if I didn't calm down, I probably would have been close to having irregular heartbeats. I could have probably had a heart attack of how upset I was. And I know that if I punch holes in walls, I have to fix. And I refrained and I tried. I hit myself in the head. I had a bunch of bumps in my head. Like, I cursed my life in front of Yah. I know the frustration. I was in my flesh in the sense that I was upset. I was upset with the corruption. And then little by little, the voice, that still voice of the Creator, seeps in and says, they're deserving of the same grace. They're deserving of the same grace. You are no greater than they are. You know, and I know, man, I know, but just hang it, hang in there, because the hour is almost up, and you're fulfilling your purpose. Seek ye the kingdom of heaven and its righteousness. Let him handle the rest. Keep seeking. Seek, you shall find. Ask, and you shall receive. Knock, and it shall be open. Anything you ask your Creator through the sacrifice of the Messiah, of his Son, of his only begotten Son, according to his riches in glory, he will grant you. So, bless you guys, and bless you. I'll see you again later.